Hello and welcome to The Big Picture. The controversy which has erupted over the travel papers granted to former IPL chief Lalit Modi has assumed multi-dimensions. The role of External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj in getting Modi the papers so that he could travel outside UK has become a major issue. Modi has been staying in London since 2010 after he was charged with foreign exchange violations amounting to rupees, some say it's 425, some say it's 700 crores. He has been declared fugitive from law as he has refused to cooperate with investigations and has stayed away from India. However, the Indian Foreign Minister informed the British government that India has no objection to Modi being issued travel papers, even though his passport had been impounded by the Indian government. The fact that her daughter had appeared for Modi in her capacity as a lawyer and her husband had also been in touch with Modi have all added to the controversy and raised questions about propriety and conflict of interest. However, Sushma Swaraj has defended herself that she did what she did on humanitarian considerations, as Modi wanted to be beside his sick wife who had to undergo surgery in Lisbon, Portugal. Is this explanation a justification? What are the implications of this? We will discuss this and also what will be the fallout of this controversy legally, politically as well as diplomatically. To discuss this, I have with me R.P. Singh, National Secretary of the BJP, Tom Vadakkan, Secretary AICC and Congress Spokesperson, M.K. Kumar, former Ambassador, Bishwajit Bhattacharya, former Additional Solicitor General of India, and Vinod Sharma, Political Editor, Hindustan Times. Welcome to all of you. Mr. R.P. Singh, is this just a case of, impropriety? Or you don't even consider it as impropriety?
See, as Sushma ji has said, it's a case of basically helping someone on a humanitarian ground. And you said few things which I had objection to it, where you said that she recommended travel documents for Mr. Modi. She never did that. She said,
if we have no objection.
She has, that's different. And secondly, you said Sushma ji's daughter was representing Mr. Modi. I'm sorry, she was not representing Mr. Modi as in person. She was a junior with 10 other juniors for a particular lawyer.
Her name appears in the...
And then obviously, she was junior with 10 other lawyers for a lawyer. And she was part of that team probably, or probably she was working as a junior with that lawyer. And there's nothing more than that. So we were trying to put too much together like that. Simple as someone calls and says that he needs a visa or he needs a document for a traveling for his wife not being well, and then for one time going out and then getting his wife's operation done. That's all. There's nothing more than that to be read into it.
That's all. Vinod, is that what it is all about? He says that somebody calls up and says that I want a travel document, and the External Affairs Minister says we have no objection.
No, I think that I would leave aside the family part for the time being, and focus to start with on the role of Ms. Swaraj as Minister for External Affairs, that she got a request from Mr. Modi, Lalit Modi, and she responded to that request by reaching out to the British High Commissioner in India and also to the Chairman of the Parliamentary Committee on Home Affairs in the United Kingdom. Now, on the face of it, it is unusual for the minister herself to be taking up this matter because there are myriad ways of reaching out to the High Commissioner in Delhi, and normally it is done by the Joint Secretary in charge managing the desk relating to the country. So, I think that there was an element of gravitas sought to be injected in the request. A. B. While this request was made by the minister, the Enforcement Directorate was at the fag end of its investigations against Mr. Lalit Modi. And there were a whole lot of charges listed against him, including seeking to grant favors in the auction of teams to certain business houses, including a business house which was perceived to be close to the government of the day. 3, that Mr. Lalit Modi is granted a travel document while the case is pending, while his case is pending in an Indian court, the adjudication on that case is awaited. And this travel document is granted. Now, what is this travel document? This is a substitute for the passport that stood negated or impounded or whichever way you want to call it, consequent to his refusal to come and present himself and assist in the investigations. But most importantly, where I consider both the previous UPA government and this government culpable in being perfunctory in discharge of its duties. You see, we have had, Girish, an extradition treaty with the United Kingdom since 1993. Yeah, and at no stage was this treaty sought to be invoked to get this man back.
Absolutely, that's an important point. Tom Vadakkan, you know, today, since last 2 days, your party has been raising a whole lot of questions. But one of the questions which was raised by Vinod Sharma, that in the last 4 years, how much effort had your government put in to extradite Lalit Modi from UK?
Girish, there's a 200-page documentation under FEMA, under the Various Income Tax Act, Section 37 of the FEMA 13, and it's a 200-page document to the All India Congress Committee is mailing to all journalists of the charges that were put up against Mr. Modi. Now, the point is, the Finance Minister has 2 letters also written to his to the British counterparts, asking them for his asking them to send him back. Now, all these documentations are in public domain. Now, my question to you and to Mr. Sharma ji is this, that look, when there is so much of documentation in place, the External Affairs Minister steps into the picture and above the head of the Finance Ministry and the Prime Minister's office, is it possible without the consent of the Prime Minister's office and the Finance Minister that they can stretch across and get permission for getting his movement?
Tom, you're not answering my question. What were you said there were 200-page documentation. Is that your defense that your government had put in this 200-page documentation?
The defense is, as was stated in the briefing today, if I remember correctly, that they sought repatriation of Mr. Modi to India. My point is, why wasn't an extradition sought when there is a treaty existing?
Okay, let's get Mr. Bishwajit Bhattacharya in on this. What is the legalities of this? What is the when a person's passport is impounded or negated by the Indian government or revoked by the Indian government, and this person is abroad in some other country, what is the status there?
The status, I would entirely agree with Mr. Sharma. When there is already a treaty in existence, I think both the governments who have been in existence in power from 2010, they have singularly failed to pursue the case against the person concerned. And one thing which strikes me as very surprising, as the gentleman said, we have created 200 pages of documents. Creating 200 pages of documents is not an end in itself.
Absolutely.
So therefore, the Enforcement Directorate will have to issue notice. An Enforcement Directorate under the Foreign Exchange Management Act has
we did not create.
Extraterritorial.
Create.
I am not saying create in a bad word.
This was not created.
You have done
a
okay.
These are documents which the present
you have done a commendable job. I am not saying that. I am not questioning the word creation. Don't read too much into the word creation. What I am saying is that after having had 200 pages of documents in such a humongous allegation of 450 crores to 700 crores, I mean, you should have taken up the matter very, very seriously. The Foreign Exchange Management Act has extraterritorial jurisdiction. I find it very shocking that Enforcement Directorate has not swung into action, taken up the matter through the diplomatic channel. Some kind of letter, rogatory also could have been considered to be issued. So therefore, I mean, it is most strange, the person whose passport has been impounded and revoked. Of course, I was told that in the Delhi High Court has basically restored it.
But that happened after this.
But that happened much after that. But during this period of 4 years, I find that both the governments in the past have utterly failed to discharge at least their statutory responsibilities and at least coming clean to the people of India.
Okay, Bhadra Kumar. No,
I think that is incorrect. I think that's absolutely incorrect. Today, the government of India stands, at least the foreign minister stands abetting a crime.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that.
No, I'm not talking of foreign minister right now. That was not the question
England
put to me.
to Portugal.
Tom will come to that. That's also a very important. That is the most important issue, Mr. Bhadra Kumar. The question is that here is a man whose passport has been revoked. He's in another country. He's virtually a fugitive because he's refusing to cooperate with the charges which have been filed against him. So how is he treated by the country? And when the Indian government says that we have no objection to you giving travel documents to him, what does it mean?
Girish, let me first of all,
purely diplomatic terms.
let me first of all explain how the system works.
Yeah, please.
We are not a banana republic.
Absolutely.
And in external affairs, there is a very well laid out system. We know this, aware of it, I am sure, because he hinted at it. Now, tons of letters come, dozens of telephone calls come to the minister's office. There is invariably a bright young foreign service officer is put as a special assistant in the minister's office, primarily for this kind of liaison, coordination. Now, when a letter comes like this, or a telephone call comes like this, a memo, or if the letter comes, it's forwarded straight to the Joint Secretary concerned, who looks into it. Now, none of the newspapers today has said whether, assuming that Sushma Swaraj is completely unaware of a personality called Lalit Modi, even then, she should have marked it to the Joint Secretary concerned. Now, Joint Secretary concerned means today, when a passport has been impounded, it's a very serious move by the government of India. We underestimate that it's a document with a lot of solemnity, a passport. Indian passport.
Right.
It's very, very solemn, that thing. And when that is revoked, a crime of the utmost order against national interest has been committed by a person.
Right.
And even if she doesn't read newspapers and is not aware of it, I'm sure the Joint Secretary would point out to her that, Madam, this is not something we can do. And this is also an issue where, when you say Finance Ministry has taken it up with London, it means the Indian High Commission is involved in London.
Right.
And he would definitely tell, Madam, we'll have to consult the High Commissioner because we are on record on this issue. And you are asking for a supersession of that. And then what did she do? I don't think any of the papers has said that the High Commissioner Ranjan Mathai has been consulted. And if he has been consulted, what has been his advice? JSCPV has been consulted. What has been his advice? And she seems to have overruled and acted on her own. And then, on top of it, instead of having, when you have a mission in London and a High Commissioner there, you deal with the British High Commissioner instead.
In India.
And when he is on leave. Now, this is, to say the least, this is extremely strange. And, it really is a willful conduct. There is no other way to explain it. Because, you can make a mistake here or there, but it's not how the system...
This is not just some case of impropriety.
So what is the... So the question is, why this extraordinary level of interest in this case? Because you have not only bent the rules, you have broken the rules. And then, you are also dealing... This is an interstate relationship. And, the minister should never make herself vulnerable. Because tomorrow there could be a quid pro quo affecting Indian interests.
No, that is one thing. And this humanitarian argument, how much does it wash?
No, I think I watched, I really don't know, Girish, but I watched the television as you would have done yesterday. And it apparently shows that, that this travel document is not specifically for Portugal or anything. It is also for Havana. And it is also for,
and it is there till 2016.
And it is for a very long period of time. And also some people were reporting that, this earlier assumption that his presence was mandatory for surgical treatment and so on is not inconsistent with the EU laws. There is no such permission needed from the husband.
Okay, that's a minor
different matter. Yes.
That's a different matter. Mr. R.P. Singh, how do you respond to what Mr. Bhadra Kumar says? This is a very serious case of what he called as, breaking the law.
See, I understand that his point of view that is a serious, as per him, is a serious case of breaking the law. But issue is, as Sushma ji is known, and as the present government, anyone tweets or sends message, immediately the minister herself takes personal interest into it. That's the only thing. Probably she overstepped to take personal interest into helping someone.
Personal interest. One second. Allow me to complete. You can answer.
Not personal interest.
I have a sub question. When somebody is taking personal interest, and there are now evidences of the family members also getting involved, so isn't there a conflict of interest?
That's right. I knew that you were going to comment on that. Yes. That's right. And it's not only in this case. She took personal interest in people who were stuck in other states also, whether they're people from Punjab or other places also. So it's not that. Not this issue. I'm generally, that's how.
Can you compare the two cases?
Yeah. Reason is, someone says that my wife is unwell and she needs some immediate treatment, and for that I need to travel. Okay. Now, as for conflict of interest, I again say, the only issue which you raised was that Mrs. Sushma Swaraj's daughter has been representing. That doesn't stand ground, because she is among the 10 lawyers with some senior person, or the 10 people. Tomorrow, if I'm working with some senior lawyer, I'm part of the team where he is working, and he is representing.
So
the
you
case.
Don't see it as a transgression of law?
No, I'm saying I don't see it at all. As far as you said, conflict of law, conflict of interest at all. Where you're trying to.
There's no conflict of interest, you say?
Not at all.
Okay, Tom. Yes, Tom, you wanted to react.
The basic issue here is there are two sets of letters. One is which the foreign minister wrote to the British authorities, and there is one letter which has been the emails are all in public. Written by the MP of Indian origin to the British authorities. In the letter that the foreign minister writes, it says that this is on an issue of a marriage and also the case of the wife's ailment. In the communication of the MP of that country of Indian, the MP of Indian origin, he says, well, this is a marriage issue. In addition to that, he was to meet a VIP in that country. Now, whom are we to believe? Where is this humanitarian grounds? And believe me, this gentleman, visuals are in public domain. He's having a nice time. Okay, pray, he has a right to have a nice time.
He has a right
but
to have
if this is the man who is going...
Because we are not sure, when the dates on which those pictures have, which have been published. Let us not get into that. Let's not get into that, Tom. Let me get Vinod in on this. Vinod, the issue, is this an issue of conflict of interest?
Well, prima facie, yes. I'm a little surprised, Girish, that, the defense that has been mounted by the BJP so far, and Mr. R.P. Singh is here, he'll give greater details on that. The party chief, Mr. Amit Shah, and the Home Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, faced the camera, and that too on a news agency, wire service camera. It wasn't a press conference where people could ask questions. And they made bland statements. Now, from their statements, apparently, it was obvious. It was so obvious to me that they hadn't been adequately briefed about the case. Because while their case is related to a travel document, they were calling visa, and they were saying, in one statement, one connection which was established with the High Commissioner was attributed by the party chief to Keith Vaz, So they were apparently not adequately briefed even before they made a statement. What at least one expects from the government is a considered statement by the nodal ministry that was dealing with the cases against Mr. Lalit Modi. And that ministry, namely the Ministry of Finance, oversees the work of the Enforcement Directorate. Now, we haven't heard anything from that ministry till now. And that leads me to believe that is the government one on this issue?
No,
is the party one on this issue?
No, how does it matter if it's one on this issue?
No, so Home Minister, for instance, cannot speak on behalf of the Ministry of Finance. And Home Minister's role in this is limited to as follows, that Mrs. Sushma Swaraj, before making that request to the High Commissioner of Britain and to that MP, should have formally sounded the Home Minister, because it was a case of revocation of the passport. And that falls squarely in the domain of the Ministry of Home, which is in charge of national security and which is also in charge of the foreigners' registration and the visa and other things. May I tell you, for long years now, the final word on granting visa or a passport rests with the Home Ministry, not as much with the Ministry of External Affairs.
Okay, Mr. Bhadra Kumar, is that the case, or in this case? See, there are two interesting issues. One is when the UK government gave him these travel papers to travel to, apparently to Lisbon, and then soon after that, a couple of weeks after that, the Delhi High Court, dismisses the what the government of India had done and restored his passport. So, what is his status as of now?
No, presently his status is not under cloud at all. He is as entitled to travel not only to Cuba, anywhere as you or I. So it doesn't matter. Now the point is, at that point in time, when she intervened with the British High Commission and with the British political elites, I think he was a fugitive, as you described. There is a criminal case pending against him.
Now he's not a fugitive?
The act of revocation...
Is he now... No, he can't be called a fugitive?
That is, I understand that the Finance Ministry, for reasons best known to them, didn't appeal against this verdict.
Right.
Now, the Finance Ministry could have, the Enforcement Directorate could have appealed. It didn't. Now, that is another dimension to this also. So, you see, here, we are also really, unknowingly, we are also stumbling upon this, that there are some, like in an Orwellian farm, there are some who are more equal than others.
Absolutely. Mr. Bhattacharya, one is that the question of what is his status now after the passport has been, restored to him. Second thing is, what are the consequences of this in future?
The consequences are that as on date, the passport exists. And as Mr. Bhadra stated, that if that is true, that the Enforcement Directorate chose not to appeal against the order, then that also gives another dimension to the whole issue. And the consequences henceforth would be, you see, what has happened overall. If you take overall view, half of them will say that what has been done is wrong, other half will say it is right. So the best question...
I'm talking of, if this is going to become a precedent, what happens next?
No, you see, before it becomes a precedent, there must be a proper investigation. You see, because now people are only talking about resignation, making allegation. Facts are not known. The facts have to be known, and investigation...
What are the facts which have to be known?
The facts which have to be known are these allegations where the family members are coming into the picture somehow, whether they had any role to play. Second fact is that the person concerned had to travel to Portugal. When did he go to Portugal? When did he come back? For what purpose he went? Whether there was any, all these things will have to be done. And secondly, the Honorable External Affairs Minister wrote a letter. Now, it was surely a matter of sort of human consideration, as she has said. Nobody can dispute that if you write to me and say that my wife is suffering ailment, it is a human consideration.
No, I don't think any letter was written. She made a phone call.
Oh, phone call, whatever. So therefore, the
and she
veracity...
also met the High Commissioner.
So the Enforcement Directorate is in a best position to inquire and investigate and ascertain the truth. After ascertaining the truth, the legal consequences will have to be followed.
Okay, Mr. Bhadra Kumar.
You see, there is a very fundamental thing here, in the sense that I explained to you how the system works. And I am very sure about this, that the External Affairs Minister's office touches base with the Joint Secretary concerned on a particular issue. I would like to know what advice he gave. Because he is the person who revoked. The Chief Passport Officer of India, whose Joint Secretary CPV, is the person who revoked. Number two, the démarche to the British High Commission, that was made by the Indian High Commission in London. We ought to have consulted the High Commission. Did we? And if the Minister's office did either of these two, Joint Secretary CPV or the London people, from my background in the Foreign Service, I can say 100% sure that they would have said, Madam, please do not, this is a minefield. You are violating the law.
Mr. R.P. Singh, the question is this. Would you agree that there needs to be an investigation into what has happened?
No, any investigation can happen, but as things
no,
are...
not any investigation. Into this whole episode, do you think that there should be an investigation?
No, there can be investigation, but issue is what is coming out. What is coming out right now? Issue is there any conflict of interest? There's no conflict of interest.
No, how do you?
No, allow me to complete.
That's exactly the point Mr. Bhattacharya is making. That there needs to be an investigation to find out whether all these things have happened.
Facts must be known.
Facts must be known. No, would you agree with that?
Facts are already on table right now. All emails, everything is on table. There's anything hidden in it.
So you don't think the investigation
anything is hidden in it? Nothing. There's nothing in it.
Right now, they are allegations.
I don't think investigations are necessary.
There are mails already on table now. What is to be investigated?
Tom, what is it that your party wants? Very quickly.
I would like to categorically bring to your attention that this gentleman, for a minute, let us assume, hypothetically, was traveling on a humanitarian consideration as the Honorable Minister wanted us to believe. The transit would be from London to Lisbon and from there, and the caveat should have been that the person must come to India and face the charges in India. Instead, what happens is the gentleman does not enter India, it goes back to London. Is one case of clear-cut abetment. If you had permission to travel to that country on humanitarian grounds, the advisory from the Foreign Ministry should have been that this person should present himself in India. That did not happen.
That condition was not laid.
This is a case of abetment.
Okay. Vinod, very quickly, last words to you. You think that an investigation is the right way forward now?
Girish, can I tell you something honestly? I can't resist myself, from not telling. Nobody in the political class wants him back in India. I'm telling you honestly.
But
because in the administration of cricket, competing political interests, subsumed so seamlessly.
Let us
so there is a subsumed so seamlessly that if this man comes back, he may spill beans if he's put in the dock.
That's in the realm of speculation. But anyway, this is an issue which will obviously be at the center of controversy for quite some time to come. Hopefully, as some of my guests have suggested, an investigation is done, and we should know what the facts are. Hopefully, that will happen. Thanks to all my guests. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue in the big picture same time tomorrow.